Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus arcade video. Today we're going to be taking a look at, you can see right here, Toy Fighter. This was released in 1999 by Anchor Incorporated, and the seller who actually sold me this board said it can only work in Japanese region, but yeah, I have my Naomi 1 board, if you see it down there, right here, with the cartridge in, and that has the American BIOS, and yeah, absolutely works just fine. And as you can see here, we have the OpenJet VS arcade cabinet running our I/O board and the Xbox 360 controller. And the cool part is this is the test button and this is a service button, so you don't have to go over there and push the buttons on the actual arcade. And of course the Naomi 2 there isn't doing anything, just the Naomi 1. If I need to run a game in USA mode and it's a Naomi cartridge, I'll usually just put it in that Naomi 1 that I got with my Power Stone cartridge that I'll be showing eventually in another video. I just haven't gotten a chance to show that game off, but I'll show you what's in the test mode. So all I do here is I press back to get me moving the cursor, and then the Xbox button to get into game test mode. And now, once we get in here, takes a little while because it's loading into the game's test mode and letting you tweak the settings. There isn't too much to do here. Of course, you got your input test. You can do all your directions, your buttons, which this is similar to Virtual Fighter. It uses punch, kick, dodge, and of course start. And then here you have a couple things you can tweak. I did add a couple things. The bonus bomber means if you finish in a certain way, you get an extra bomber mode, which is like your special move. I tweaked the time to 99 seconds, left it at normal, and left energy max at default. Nothing all that much. Event mode would just be like in a lot of the Capcom games where you start and both players automatically start, like you were doing a tournament or something, but nothing too crazy. And you can do your sound test and your backup memory clear, but nothing too exciting there. Of course, I always have this set to free play, and just in case you're guessing, start with start, punch, kick, dodge is how it's configured, so it's A, X, and Y on this controller. And then I just push the Xbox button, and that gets me out of the system menu. And then it's gonna just go through our normal boot sequence, and let's take a look at some Toy Fighter on the Naomi. And then once you get past your load game, you'll get this pretty cool Sega logo that kind of like 3Ds in, and then the Anchor Incorporated, which is the company that made it. I've already uploaded the intros in another video, and what I think is cool is it kind of shows all the toys in their packaging. And I'm just gonna play as Vitamin here, or as the guy in the game calls it, her vitamin, which I always thought was kind of weird. And what I like about this game is that each stage is just like in the child's room, and it just kind of takes you there, and then you kind of see where the actual stage takes place. And basically the gist of this game is all of the characters, like in the movie Toy Story, are toys. And they're just fighting each other, and that's why your characters are also weird, which kind of explains things. If you had just seen like screenshots of this game and knew nothing about it, you'd be like, why does it look like all the characters are from like different action figure sets, which is getting a little bit closer to what we're kind of going for here. But this game was released in 1999, and it was released in both North America and Japan. So that's pretty much why it boots up in North American mode on my Naomi, and it has no problem. If you didn't know, Naomi cartridges for the most part are like Neo Geo cartridges. You have one cartridge for like the whole world, and then depending on your BIOS, that will determine what language the game is in. And basically, as you can see there, what happens is after every stage you kind of see the kid's hand grab the toy and put it in there and take it out when you're done. So you'll see and then they just like hit him in the back of the head, so they'll just kind of start up. But Now, what I was saying is that, just like a Neo Geo, the Naomi cartridges have both the American and the Japanese ROM on them. So if you have a Japanese BIOS, the game boots in Japanese. If you have an American BIOS, the game boots in English mode. But how I want to say it is, this game, as far as I could tell, really didn't have any Japanese or English in it, except for like the random stuff that pops on the screen, like ready, fight, stuff like that. But the way that the controls work in the game is you have punch, kick, and dodge. Pressing punch and kick together will do a throw. If you throw a character down, well, getting back to the whole life point system, which is kind of weird, 5 life points per round. Depleting your opponent's energy takes away 1. Throwing your opponent down takes away 2. And if you do your bomber move, which usually takes time to charge up, so it's like not the easiest thing to get done when your opponent is not like on the ground or something, that takes away 3 points. So those are kind of the ways that you could easily defeat your enemy. And the one thing to remember, your enemy can do all the same things. So they can do their bomber move, they can do their just depleting your energy, and then they can do their normal like throws. And they only need 3 of them to, 5 life points away to defeat you as well. So you have to kind of be careful. And now when it comes to throws, you don't just push the punch and the kick button, you throw, and that's the end of the day there. There is a way to reverse and escape throws, which you'll probably see me and the AI do a few times during this gameplay, because basically it's just you have to initialize the same throw move, the punch and kick at the same time, and then that will do either your reverse or escape depending on your button timing. You'll kind of see this little meter pop up on the bottom of the screen that will kind of give you your prompts. But honestly, if you see your opponent throwing you and you press the button fast enough, and that's the bomber move I was telling you about, I just happened to be able to hit the enemy that time with it and take 3 out. But you'll notice the little meter on the bottom, but as long as you hit your punch and kick, like literally right after you see your opponent start to throw you, you'll either escape or reverse. And then that will kind of help you from losing those 2 life points here. But a lot of times I wasn't ready for the opponent to do the throw, so like they caught me, and there was nothing I could do. And now, as I'm seeing here on one of the articles, Toy Fighter is a 3D fighting game in like the same vein as Virtual Fighter, because with the punch and the kick moves, you kind of get a bit of, say, Virtual Fighter feeling here, but it also has a bit of a more whimsical type feeling as well, so it's not like straight Virtual Fighter or straight any other game, but it's kind of a mixture thereof. And what I'm reading here is that they're saying that it is kind of a pseudo-sequel to the Fighter's Destiny series. And, of course, as I had mentioned, it was developed by Anchor Incorporated and led by Fighter's Destiny designer Masahiro Onoguchi. Although they're saying right here it was only released exclusively in Japan. And as I had explained just a minute ago, this game does not use the traditional 2-round system where you just defeat your enemy. It uses that whole life point thing. But that kind of gives it a like unique feeling to the game that makes it a little bit different than other fighting games, and it could like throw new players off who aren't like looking for, oh well, if I have to basically down my character 5 times if I just want to like play a traditional fighting game, or I could use like the throw and the bomber move to kind of give you a little bit more extra there in order to basically make it a bit easier to win. But yeah, after these rounds that you just saw, I did lose a couple times, but like my time didn't go up to like 17 minutes or 30 minutes or 80 minutes or anything, so it wasn't that bad. But this is the weird one where it's like you're in like a spaceship. It's not even the kid's room anymore. And it's this like kind of frog character that you're fighting up against. And yeah, from what I'm seeing here, yeah, Toy Fighter was not released in the USA. I was looking at one of the wikis here, and they gave a North America of 1999, but no, Toy Fighter was not released in the USA. It was only released in Japan on the Naomi arcade system. And interestingly enough, this is actually kind of part of the whole Toy series, because there was like Toy Commander on Dreamcast, which I believe was released in all regions, and then Toy Racer, which only got a release in Europe as like an online game, which you actually couldn't play against other like real world people who were like just there in the same room, which is kind of weird, but I guess it was kind of the whole let's give them an online racer type thing. But yeah, this game only came out in Japan. But I would imagine the reason why it works on my American USA BIOS is that it's a Naomi cartridge and they're universal and they just want to all kind of work together. And then this is your boss fighter, which as of this recording, I didn't see any way to unlock him, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a way. Because a lot of times through operator code you actually can play as the boss characters, even though like legitimately you're not really supposed to be able to do that, but it's kind of a cool bonus. But he's kind of like this big transformer like Megazord type dude, and he has all these like crazy moves. And yeah, I lost against him a few times because as you can kind of see, he's just a bit of a overly strong character, and you know, whenever you start playing a fighting game, you're gonna have to lose against the boss a few times, but at least it's not as bad as like Fighting Lair. That game was probably the most brutal as far as fighting games go when it came to beating the boss. And at the end of every time you win, you see they basically take Toy King away and they put your character there instead, and it says congratulations, you know, you're now the new Toy Fighter champion. Although I've actually read mixed reports on whether this game was going to be released on Dreamcast or not. Some reports indicated it legitimately was like a few times, and then other things I've read said there may or may not have been, but from what I have read, for the most part, is it sounds like they did plan to release this on the Dreamcast, but it was just canceled. Because as this is a Naomi 1 game, it would have been a fairly easy one-to-one release on the Dreamcast, like say Power Stone or Cannon Spike or anything like that. But unfortunately, it's one of the many arcade games that Sega had on the Naomi, and they just never released it at the home. So basically, this is one of those that either A, you have to be like me and have a Naomi board and get a Toy Fighter cartridge, which, suffice it to say, I had been looking for this game for a while, and of course I wanted a real cartridge. I didn't want to just like net boot it. So when I finally saw that there was a guy on Facebook Marketplace selling this game, I asked him what he wanted. It was a lot less than I had seen it before sell for, so I was like, sure, why not? And I was kind of in that mood of, hopefully I actually get this thing, because, you know, Facebook Marketplace isn't like eBay. You can't just be like, hey eBay, this person never sent me my item. Sometimes you could just be out of luck, but Yeah, it's definitely a really fun fighting game, and I would highly recommend it for, like, people who are fans of one-on-one and fighting games, because it's just a fun time, and it's a very unique experience, because it never got a console release, and it's really just a fun game to play with some very unique Fighter's Destiny-like dynamics. And of course, you're always going to get your results here, and you can rank in. But yeah, this has been another Game Nexus arcade video, and I shall see you later. Bye.
Thank you for playing. Game over.